On the other side of this, the other big Tomlin thing that came out of today was he was asked, and you got a shout out to the reporter who hammered him with these questions. And I gave her props afterwards. She was hammering Tomlin with these questions. He sent a message to the fans, and to be honest, I got some good thoughts on this one afterwards.
I have no response to that. I understand the nature of what it is that we do, the attention and criticism that comes with it. As a matter of fact, I embrace it, to be quite honest with you. I enjoy the urgency that comes with what I do and what we do. I don't make excuses for failure. I own it. But I also feel like I'm capable. And so as long as I'm afforded an opportunity to do that, I will continue. But I certainly understand their frustrations, and probably more importantly than that, I share it because that's how I'm wired. And so I'm not a big-time comfort seeker, and particularly in circumstances such as this, I don't view myself as a comfort provider because there's, words are hollow, to be quite honest with you. It's about what we do and less about what we say. And so I've learned to say very little when things are going good, and I've learned to say less when they aren't.
I'll say this. Tomlin went on a long rant at the beginning of his press conference, and if you didn't get to catch it, you should go check it out. And during which he acknowledged a number of times that the Steelers were not good enough, that's on him, that this one was real. And it kind of feels like Mike Tomlin knows that his team sucked at the end of this season. And it kind of feels like the players knew that they sucked at the end of the season, that the Pittsburgh Steelers all around just sucked the last 5 years or the last 5 weeks of the season. And nobody really knows why. Nobody could really sit here and say, that's the reason. You could probably pinpoint a billion of them, but I feel it's important that they actually acknowledge that they suck and that they did suck to end the season, because they were a damn good football team for 13 weeks. They were a really good football team for 13 weeks of the season. And then the final 5, they were as bad as you could get in the NFL. They were atrocious. I think it starts you in a place where you need to be. This is the first offseason. Last offseason felt like change needed to happen, but it felt like change needed to happen because people were getting hurt. And the Steelers recognized that their holes were big, and if they didn't fill them, they weren't going to be a contender. It felt like, hey, we're done with the Band-Aids. Russell Wilson wasn't a Band-Aid. Let's not, like, you're not going to sign a Super Bowl winning quarterback and say that's a Band-Aid. That's like if you went out and got Aaron Rodgers. That's not a Band-Aid. That's Aaron Rodgers. It's Russell Wilson. That's who you went out and got. I think this is the year that they kind of look at it and they say, we might just scratch it all, which doesn't mean trading everybody. It doesn't mean cutting everybody. It just means any place that they can, they will get rid of. They will just say, this needs to be new. This needs to be new. This needs to be new. And they will essentially start over, and they will do it without Band-Aids. They will do it in ways of, hey, we have to do, this has to be built. Rome wasn't built in a day. We're trying to keep it standing. Well, the foundation has fallen out. Let's go get the foundation. It kind of feels like that's the sentiment for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, is that they are fully acknowledging that this is them. This is not the NFL. This is not we've struggled in the dance. This is not we fought hard. None of those things are true. The Steelers did not fight hard. They did not look good. They were a laughing stock of the NFL by the end of this. And it falls on the weight of Mike Tomlin and 53 guys in that locker room, every single one of them. And this kind of feels like an offseason. Last season felt like a different offseason. And it was like the Steelers got much better. They finished much worse, but they got much better during last offseason. This offseason feels like the start of it, at least, is we either have to suck or we got to figure this out. Like, this is it. Like, there's no more time to waste. It kind of feels like, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Tomlin understands that he is one first-round exit away from being the most losing coach, tied for the most first round exits in the playoffs in NFL history. Feels like somebody somewhere along the way told him that. Feels like Art Rooney's well aware that, Mike, you got to win a damn playoff game because the Steelers are not a contender, and this is pathetic. And it kind of feels like this is an offseason to change. Look at these results. People are making free money betting on sports, making thousands every month. The secret? They're using OddsJam. OddsJam isn't just another betting app. It's turning the entire system in your favor. OddsJam uses a strategy called arbitrage, finding odds differences across sportsbooks. Bet both sides, and no matter the outcome, you will profit. Here's an example. You put $500 on Boise State to win on FanDuel and $335 on their opponent San Francisco on DraftKings. You're guaranteed to make $50 win or lose. With the OddsJam mobile app, you get real-time alerts on these opportunities every day. People are making thousands monthly. To get you started, use our code ALLSteelersTalk for 35% off and a 7-day free trial. I guarantee you'll profit during that trial, and if you don't, cancel with one click, no questions asked. Don't leave money on the table. Go to oddsjam.com, use our code ALLSteelersTalk, and start making money the smart way. I just feel like Mike Tomlin actually took this one on the chin. He doesn't do that very often. You know, he swerves a lot of things, comes up with his stuff. But this one kind of felt like Mike Tomlin took it out the chin, and he was like, there was an emotion in Mike Tomlin talking today, and you could kind of feel it.
Does it feel like that reality check to Tomlin is more in part due to the fact that they not only lost in the first round again, not only lost in a very similar fashion, but lost to the Baltimore Ravens, a team that Tomlin and really everybody in Pittsburgh kind of prides himself on? No matter where either team is, these games are always close. And yet the Steelers went in and got boat raced in every facet of the game. Do you think that, matched with the fact that obviously it's however many years in a row, 5 straight playoff losses and all of them in the same way, but the fact that, hey, it's the Baltimore Ravens, a team that you know intimately, that's the second most matchups head coach to head coach between him and Harbaugh in NFL history, to go in there and get embarrassed by that team specifically, do you think that has anything to do with it, whereas it was more of a wake-up call to Tomlin in that instance?
I think the way it happened, I think the way that you got boat raced by the Ravens, because I think it made everything very apparent that the Steelers are very far behind the Ravens. And that's their first competition to get into the playoffs. Like, that's step one. You have to be able to outlast the Baltimore Ravens to have a shot at a Super Bowl. And the Steelers can't do that. So I think, yes, to a degree, who they lost to opened some eyes of, we are pretty behind the 8 ball when it comes to Baltimore. And that's concerning. I also think that the way they lost is, like, you can't go to that Baltimore game and pick out good things. George Pickens, 2 catches. Those are the good things. Besides that, there is nothing. And I think that also stands out. Like, that film review had to be brutal. It had to be sitting there of just like, we sucked all over the place. Nobody didn't suck. And I think that played a role into it too. I just think it was a wake-up call. I view it as a wake-up call that the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it's Art Rooney, whether it's Mike Tomlin, whether it's Omar, whether it's whoever, realize they are nowhere near a Super Bowl. And it used to be like, hey, we're a couple pieces away. You know, now it's Steelers aren't a contender. You know, they ain't winning a Super Bowl. That ain't happening. And we'll see. We'll see what does change, but it kind of feels like it was this one was a different awakening than years past.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'd have to hope so, because again, Mike Tomlin said this today. He said, we're not doing the same things and expecting different results. They are just getting the same results and not making any massive changes that we can see from the outside looking in. So it feels like they need to make some changes, some very, very startling changes. And if not, I'm not sure why many people in this fan base are going to believe that it's going to be any different than 9-8, 10-7, and then a matchup in which you're going to walk in a touchdown plus underdog and probably end up not being able to cover it.
I have been told that inside the Pittsburgh Steelers building, they no longer want to talk about winning seasons. That
Good.
those in the front office are kind of at the point where they are also tired of winning seasons and nothing else. So
Good, because I don't think
yeah.
there's anybody in this fan base that is hanging their hat on that anymore. In fact, I
No,
think
it's
there's more
over.
people in this fan base that are ready to just strangle any national media member that wants to bring that up because it means absolutely nothing anymore.
It's almost as if they win 8-9 and then won a playoff game, it would be the best season you could ask for. It's like, there it is. You know what I mean? Snapped it all. It's over with. If they won a Super Bowl that year, you're going, there it is. We never have to worry about any of this again. It's all over. It's all over. We start fresh. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it feels
Unfortunately, they don't play in the NFC South. So
like. No. Baltimore ain't going 7 and whatever. That ain't happening.